My name's Andrew. I live in Henderson, Nevada, and tonight I will be on KSOK Uncensored Live. We'll be talking about my military service, the accident that happened on the USS Carl Vinson, I believe it is, and whatever else KSOK would like to speak about. So I hope to see you all there.
KSOK Uncensored. Tonight, I will be speaking with Andrew, a former Navy GSE. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you very much.
Now, I went with the easy title. Can you tell us what that full title is?
Yeah, GSE stands for Gas Turbine Systems Electronic Technician. Basically, I worked on DC-10 jet engines converted for marine use and their electronic controls.
I'm just going to nod and pretend I know what
Right.
you're talking
That's
about.
what pretty much everyone else does.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, we're like 10-4.
That's
No, that's
right.
awesome, though.
You're
And
right.
thank you for your service. Seriously. I actually am curious, as a vet, does that bother you when people thank you for your service?
At first, it was kind of weird, but I understand the sentiment in it. So
Right. Okay.
it doesn't bother me per se, but I feel it's like, well, that was my job and that's what I wanted to do. It's not awkward or anything. At first, it was like, okay, just
Yeah.
I just nod and smile and be nice. And then it was like a lot of people actually feel that it's deserved, and I completely understand that. So it's
Right.
not. I know some vets that may be a little weirded out by it, but I don't take anything by it. So
You
I
see,
just
it's how I was raised, and
Mhm.
it's funny because I've gotten mixed reviews from veterans when thanking them. And so,
Mhm.
nowadays I'm like, I never know, but I just go with it. And if somebody gets offended, I'll apologize at that time. It doesn't happen that often, but I was curious. Thank you for
R-
that.
Right.
I want to talk about something that is not being covered in the news, like one would think. I mean, there's a few articles out there, but when I was doing research on this, it was really hard to come by updated information. And that is, and I'm gonna refer to my notes here so I can be completely accurate here. It's a U.S. Navy F-35C combat jet crashed into the South China Sea, and I believe that was on the 23rd of January. And with that, I mean, the pilot ejected. Outside of the pilot, 6 others were injured. They were trying to land on the deck of a U.S. aircraft carrier. What can you tell us about the incident?
From what I've read, once again, there's only a few articles out there, so there isn't a lot of information. Some say the landing gear wasn't down at the right time. There are other talks about a certain inoculation that had an effect on the pilot, but the Navy's denied that. So it's they keep it real sketchy so nobody can grab onto the subject. I saw a cell phone footage of it coming in. I couldn't see because it's still blurry. It's still a cell phone image in the middle of South China Sea. I couldn't see the landing gear, but I could hear he pushed the engines back up because it seemed like the landing wasn't going well. So and then it hit the deck, and unfortunately people got hurt, and it happens. I mean, we went into the military, and things do like that does happen, and we were told that. So
Right, right.
but it's it's an unfortunate incident. But you're right, there isn't a lot being covered by the news because I think the Navy wants to, they want to keep it hush hush. They don't want to.
Right.
They don't want to make a huge deal out of it.
Understandably, within reason.
Mhm.
Something else I am curious about, it's 12,000. So the aircraft is 12,000 feet in the ocean. Is it possible to recover at that depth?
So we're talking 2.5 miles roughly down. Yeah, last year I guess there was an F-35B that came off the deck, and they were able to salvage it at 3.6 miles, which is the Navy's
Wow.
farthest depth they've ever had to recover anything. So it is quite possible that, yeah, they are. Now, that being the South China Sea, that's a lot of rough water. That takes into effect, how weather and all that in the waves takes into effect how long it'll take them to get it, but they'll get it. Yeah.
That's why, you know, what's wild for me. I'm very visual, and so when I'm trying to wrap my mind around how deep that is, I
Hmm.
think of in elementary, middle school, high school when you had to run the, you know, the mile, and I'm like, okay, so that's, you know, 4 laps around times three. I mean, it is pretty wild for those that are visual. That's what helps me really realize, like, that is deep. So the
Yeah.
fact that they were able to go down that deep
Yeah.
is quite wild to me. You know, the other thing is when I was researching this, I saw that, oh, just what was it, the same day or the day before, China had launched 36, I believe it was fighter jets towards Taiwan.
Hmm.
And you know, there's been a separation there since 1949, but
Hmm.
you know, true to China's nature, they feel like they own you know, the South China Sea. That's their territory, their
Hmm.
turf. They feel that way about Taiwan. And that's why the US and other allies have stepped up operations in the South China Sea. But what are your thoughts on what they have up their sleeve?
They they've pushed that while we were even out there, and you could see them do flyovers and stuff like that. They've always wanted that territory as theirs, and they've claimed we've crossed it and done this all, all this other stuff. And from what I understand, they've even tried to say that anything that comes off the deck of any ship is theirs. um I I I'm not surprised by it. I'm not surprised. They're just trying to muscle into more territory and, get what they want. And then us having that technology in that one plane is what they want. So, they're going to show a little muscle and force out there. I don't think they'll do any attacking or anything, but yeah, they've tried that for a very long time. So it's not surprising to me at all.
Right, right. I know that, and they did something very similar in October. After we had been apparently over in the Taiwan area, and we were doing some military operations, and so
Hmm.
they're flexing back in October
Hmm.
as well. So
Yep.
you're right; it does seem to be a trend,
Yeah.
and nothing too new. I
Mm-mm.
am curious. So is from what you read again? There's limited information out there. Are they? Are they trying to get to the aircraft before us? I mean, that's a lot of military intelligence.
Well, no, we're obviously already there. So, the aircraft carrier is still patrolling, and they'll
Right.
send out a fleet of anything that will, last out in the South China Sea. I was on fast frigates, and those things bob around like bobbers out there. And so we'll patrol that until the salvage team gets there and whatever else is for backup. And then if it takes 3 months, there's going to be relief. So another aircraft carrier will probably come out, other ships, and they'll relieve them. I don't know what their interval will be. Like spent out at sea like 3 months going back and forth to the Gulf. So they could spend indefinite out there. They just get another ship to bring fuel out there. So we're already there. They can't really try anything, and I don't think they will. But they'll show their presence, but
Yeah.
that's about as far as that will go. But
All
if
right.
we were to go like, oh, it's done, like, oh,
Yeah.
that plane's gone. Oh no, they would get out there and they would get it. They'll lose people just trying to get that technology, just to
Oh,
see what we've got, so then they can
yeah.
counterattack us, if at that time came. So yeah.
And you know what? They can just go buy our stuff from the Middle East, right? I mean, shoot, we left plenty out
Now,
there. Oh, really, really, really frustrating. That's when you and I first connected on Instagram, as we were talking about, where I had posted something concerning Afghanistan, and you shared with me your thoughts on that, especially
hmm
as someone who has served.
hmm
Um, what is weighing on you the most concerning that whole withdrawal?
it just previous president had a plan. He had a plan to bring everything back, and he knew that you can't leave that there. There was a lot of equipment there. Now some of it is with another faction that we actually gave them, which is fine, but we needed to bring our equipment back because that's a lot of equipment, broken or not. It should not have been there, because as you can see, they're using it.
The Pentagon says it does not know how much equipment could now be in the Taliban's hands.
And you had a lot of people online say, oh, they don't got anybody that'll fix that and do all that. Well, I'm sorry, they do. They're very innovative, especially when they've got equipment like that. That's a problem for me. And then there shouldn't have been lost lives. So that whole plan of bringing everything back and then bringing all our civilians back, and obviously the last would be our military, we would be ready for it. But just to fly out and just say, okay, well, everyone's out and here's this, and now we have 13 people that aren't here today. That
Right.
kicked me pretty hard.
Oh,
So
understandably.
yeah,
It's horrific. And even
no.
for civilians that really can't wrap their minds around what it's like to be over there,
Mhm.
uh, it was gut wrenching. Notice we don't see any footage from over there, or very
No,
little.
no,
Um,
no, they don't, because they don't want people to know the truth, I guess.
right.
Just yeah, that really made me very angry. So
Absolutely, understandably.
yeah.
We want to talk about something we're seeing a lot, and that's that the US Navy has gone woke. And really, when I was trying to dive into the why on this, outside of the obvious state of the nation here, I was looking at who Obama appointed during his administration. And a lot of those people are still in these high ranking roles.
Hmm.
And so there, my takeaways are that the Navy's really focusing a lot on social justice versus military readiness. What are
Hmm.
your thoughts on the Navy and this new woke look that a lot of people have?
I saw this kind of coming around when this thing during boot camp, they had something called stress cards or something. And if you felt stressed out or whatever, you would show this. And I'm like, oh, that's wow, no, because you can't do that. And I was in the Navy, obviously, we have certain troops that do the battlefield. But if you're in the middle of somewhere and you get confronted by the enemy, you can just show a card and say, hey, dude, you're stressing me out. So I kind of saw that coming. And then I talking to my people that have been in for like 20 years, they're like, I can't with these kids these days. What is going on? It's just it's again, it's another thing that I'm really disappointed in seeing any military do. Because when I went in the military, when I was in between 85 and 93. You got hollered at, they you were exposed to what you may be in the field, what's going to happen on
Yeah,
ship, on ground, it doesn't matter. And if you can handle it, they wanted you out in boot camp. They don't want you, stress carding your way through boot camp and all this other stuff. And it just gives me I just don't like it. I don't know. I just don't understand it myself, and it's disappointing because I don't feel that I don't feel confident now that I went through this boot camp with that implemented for the guy next to me to help me out, haul me off the field, to get help for me or anything. They're just going to run or,
right,
oh no, I'm done. So
right. They're
yeah,
going to look for the nearest cry room.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And that's not where we grew up. And it's kind of like we run into the veteran issue this now with the VA and everything. Veterans are having problems that they didn't report while they were in the military
mm,
because we were in the military. It was anything to get the job done.
yeah,
If you hurt your back, if you got, it doesn't matter. We got to get this done. We're not here to cry about it. We're not whatever. And it's now, even I've had issues and I've brought it up to the VA, and because I don't have that record that I reported it,
wow,
they can do nothing for me. So that's kind of the caveat on the other side of that problem.
yeah,
So it's not it's all kind of uh it's frustrating. It's really frustrating to hear all of this, especially the
yeah.
woke issue. I don't understand that at all. So,
Well, the first thing that came to mind when you talk about like they want evidence that you injured yourself, right?
mhm,
But do they ask for evidence that that somebody? I mean, when you think about like the unemployment, the welfare, think about all of that, and you can just go on and fudge through those forms. So they're asking people who have served to prove that they injured themselves
right,
of
right.
bodily repercussions from serving,
Sure.
yet very, very little checks and balances are taking place for folks who are
Right.
getting government handouts, who have never served our country. So it's just, damn, that just ticks
Exactly.
me off.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the way I am too. So I have to deal with the VA and some injuries I got in the military. I didn't report them. And now complications have come up later. So they're like, oh, it isn't in your medical record anywhere. There's nothing we can do about it. You could have done it on the outside, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, I know the date and time. I literally could tell them the date and time of what happened, blah, blah, blah. And
Right.
they're just like, it's not on the record.
Yeah,
Yet,
that's
like
so
you
wrong.
said, but other people can get government assistance that's never
Right.
done anything and just, here it is, here's some money. And I'm like, oh, that's ridiculous. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you've seen what General Milley, is that it, Milley?
yeah,
With all the memes where they have his nails done and everything. What is
yes,
your
yes.
take on him and all, and all of that?
You know what? The
Read.
funny thing is, upper echelon, when I was in, you never heard from them because it was a direction was made and all that. They never went up and spoke to, oh, here's what we're doing now for our military boys and girls. It's, you can stress card or all this and all that. We just want to make sure everyone's psychologically okay. Well, psychologically, boot camp was that way and got you ready for that. Now they can kind of just feel like he's allowing them to skate through, which comes on that later end. Now you're in, and the
Yeah.
next first action problem, let's say one of our ships gets dead in the water and gets boarded. I don't feel comfortable. That person next to me is going to have my back because they
Right.
stress hardened their way through boot camp. It's just,
Right.
so
No,
I
that is a
don't even
trickle down
know.
effect.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't even know. I honestly don't know who my general was back then. We heard from Reagan and Clinton and all that. That's it. We came commander in chief. Boom, we're doing this.
Right.
Have a nice day. Uh, I remember ComEd East Force commander when I was out in the Gulf. He came and toured our ship and everything. I got to talk to him, and very stern. That was military. I don't know
Right.
what this military is these days.
Right.
And I was talking to your co-producer about, I honestly don't have the confidence in our military these days. I'm dumbfounded. Every day I
I
think I
know.
roll out my neck, just shaking my head like,
Seriously. What's up is down, what's down is up. I mean, we just can't we can't catch a break. People that still have common sense left. I mean, common sense is no longer common.
mm-hmm,
And we're beating our heads against a brick wall, and it's just like, what is happening? I
mm-hmm,
mean, it's wild. Something as small as Victoria's Secret. Now the models are some of them morbidly obese, right? Is that what we should be promoting, is poor health?
mm.
And
We've already got a poor health problem now, and now you're just making it more.
right. It's the other
You're
thing. It's
right.
it's allowing bad behavior, encouraging bad behavior. And I'm not fat shaming. I'm just saying I want people to be healthy and have energy and live their
Mhm,
best life. And you can't do that when you have fat packed around your organs. And so
mhm.
it's just one of those things where for the sake of not hurting feelings, right? Like these cards you talk about in the military, the cry rooms in college. We don't want to hurt feelings. We want to create this wonderful soft space for everybody, but at the same time, we're hurting everybody by doing it. And
Right.
it we see more and more of it every single day.
Yep. Yep.
I
I
just
totally agree. It's just you don't even know where to go. That's why I rarely watch the news, and I catch segments of your stuff, and I catch Keith on 2 Cent. I catch
yes,
him and all that, and it's just like I don't understand. This is not the America that I grew up in. With my dad passed away in 2003. I can't even imagine his opinion he would
right,
have right now. He would
right,
be just livid, especially he's was one of the largest construction contractors in Washington State. He'd be like, I think we just need to go. I think it's time to
right.
move to Idaho. I think that's where he'd want to go. But
Yeah,
he built his house ground up and it was giant and it was lovely, and I had a great childhood. But I can't even. It's not the America I grew up in.
Right, right.
It's just
I totally
I
understand.
don't understand the thought process behind all this, and then
Right.
the people screaming at people about, the one lady up in what was it, Washington D.C. gets out of a van, I think it was a daycare van, and just starts screaming at people for their protest, and it was a peaceful one. It was not crazy, nothing
Yeah.
was burning,
Yeah.
and she's out there screaming at people and calling
Yeah.
them racist and white
You know, she wouldn't have
supremacists.
done that to Antifa because
No.
she knows they probably would have beat her outside the head with a bat,
Mm,
unlike patriotic Americans who are
mm,
peacefully protesting. So I'd love to
mhm,
see her go down, go to Portland, go to Seattle when they were burning buildings on the street for 123 consecutive days. Go there and go yell at them.
mhm,
No, she
mhm.
wouldn't because she knows that people that are patriotic and conservative in nature generally are not going to get physical like that.
Mm-mm. Because we bring the facts to wherever it needs to be done, and then we just confront the right people,
Right.
but not screaming and hollering and burning things. We're BLM, but we're gonna burn. We're gonna burn a Black American's business.
Right.
How is that?
Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
and I loved Portland. I've been there many times. Loved it way back in the day, especially when I
Yeah.
was driving around for the military and everything. And then Seattle was kind of my backyard. Absolutely beautiful cities, and I can't even imagine what they're like now.
No,
I've been to
seriously.
San Francisco. I went to San Francisco. Was it 3 years ago? Right before the whole COVID thing. Excuse me. Right before this pandemic, and
You can say it, that's fine.
and they started that a long time ago, homelessness, and they're
Yeah,
in the streets, and you find needles, like, wow, there's
yeah,
needles. What is this? That was a shocker to me. Like in
yeah,
Vegas, we don't really have that issue. We have a couple
right,
spots on the strip that kind of smell kind of weird because people are doing stuff there. But there's no
yeah,
needles. There's no,
right.
and it's just a kind of a shock, like a city would allow that.
Oh, I know. Oh, you'll love this. Okay, so today, Ted Wheeler, the mayor of Portland, he had a live broadcast where he is addressing a very important situation, and that is that a few homeless camps are getting too close to dangerous roads. Not that they exist in the first place. He's concerned, he angled it from his concern for the homeless community that they're building these homeless camps close to dangerous roads. I mean, it's insane. And so it's like, oh my gosh, if you would have addressed the homeless camps years ago, even months and months and months ago, because they're just growing every day, we wouldn't have to be concerned about homeless camps that are literally like I've seen it. I drive down the freeway, they're backing the freeway. It's like it's wild. And so I just couldn't believe that he had the audacity to address his concern for the homeless, like, going to sleep at night and ending up on the freeway, but not for anybody else around
No,
there that is impacted by drug needles, feces, urine, I mean, all the garbage. Like he's not worried about tax-paying citizens.
right.
He's worried about the homeless waking up on the. Anyways, I just I mean, you have to laugh. It's a clown show here. And
Yeah.
so I'm
And
glad
I'm
that I know you're
sorry.
in Henderson, Nevada. I'm glad that you don't see it to the extent
We
that
have a homeless issue, but it isn't quite to that extensive. We do have some camps, but a lot of times they do get taken down. So we run into that. We have our own homeless problem, our own drug problem, but nothing exposure like that. And we don't have a tight, compacted city. Henderson is very large area. We
right.
have a little town that everyone goes down, as we call Water Street, and it's really a nice place, and they keep it pretty
I
clean.
like
So,
Henderson. Yeah,
yeah,
that's I had a family that used to live there. It's beautiful. Really
yeah.
nice. Good shopping
Mhm.
too.
Yep.
Oh, excellent. So I see that you have two guitars in your background.
Mhm.
I'm assuming you play?
I dabble in my
You
own
dabble?
mind. I think I sound like Yngwie Malmsteen, but outside of that, no, I dabble. That's
You
it. No,
dabble? All
there
right.
is no professionalism in that. I was a wind instrument kid in high school, so played sax
Oh.
and clarinet, and yeah.
Oh my gosh, I played the clarinet. Get this, like talk about things being backwards. In middle school, being in band was the cool thing to do. And I was not a band person, but I wanted to, be around my friends. And so I took up the clarinet, and I was last chair like all the time. I was horrible. So,
I was kind of midway, my mom wanted me to do clarinet, but then I went to different options. I played baritone in the marching band. I tried a
nice.
little on the tom-toms and all that stuff for, that too, because I got bored. I seem to, when I can't say I mastered it, but I got good at it, and then I get bored. I'm like, oh, I want to
Yeah,
try
you're one
something
of
else.
those.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
why I
makes
see the
sense.
eclectic shelf. Got bored with something, so I just got something else.
I like it. I
So,
like it. Yeah, that I'm a lot like that. I just do not have the gift of being able to play an instrument. Like, it just doesn't come to me naturally.
okay.
But I love
I come
that.
from a family of all professional people.
That
My
is
cousin was in
fantastic.
a heavy metal band. He's got multiple, CDs, and then his brother was a drummer. He used to play behind the curtains here in Vegas for a lot of the shows.
How
So
cool.
yeah,
I
so
love that. Well, Andrew, I want to thank you for coming on this evening. And thank you for your service and for really helping shed light on some of the topics that really aren't getting enough of it. So thank you so much. And I look forward to
you
talking to you real soon.
excellent. Thank you very much.
Have a great evening.
You too.
Thank you. Don't forget that we have our amazing partner, Mike Lindell with My Pillow, and we have our own code RAM for RAM, and it's upwards of a 60% discount. Don't forget, they are trying to cancel Mike Lindell. Retailers are pulling out every day of contracts to sell his goods. Banks are trying to drop him because they no longer want to be associated with him. Why? Because he's a patriot that stops at nothing to get the truth out there. So please support Mike Lindell, My Pillow, code RAM. Thank you guys. See you next Thursday.
It is necessary to purge the establishment.
What she's suggesting that churches do, focus on.
That's not necessarily a good thing to start
Yeah,
with.
they're stating
It
it
wasn't
like
around
this.
when we needed the greatest generation of the 30s or 40s or
happen before the election because there are too many Republicans that are afraid that their wrongdoing is going to.
It's unacceptable, and I'm not going to sit here, stay silent, and not call it out. I'm calling out their lies.
Do they think that we are so